Welcome to In the Making, the podcast where entrepreneurial journeys, creative insights, and candid conversations come together. I'm Lauren, a luxury wedding planner and mentor, and business owner with over 8 years in the wedding and events industry. Each week, I'll be sharing honest advice on building and scaling a creative business, pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to thrive in the wedding and events world, and bringing you inspiring stories from industry experts and fellow creators. So whether you're here to learn, grow, or just feel inspired, you're in the right place. Let's go. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of In the Making podcast. We have a lovely little education-based solo episode for you today, and I really wanted to talk to you about the different seasons or eras that you have as a business owner growing your business. I would say that there are 4 seasons, just like the actual seasons, but I'm going to refer to them as different eras. And they all play their part and are really, really important to the growth of your business and how you manage your time, your emotions. Just they're really important to you as well, I think. So the first season is the building era. Okay. And I kind of think that, that label says a lot. But the building era is very much, those foundational steps that you need to be taking to build your business. It takes a lot of energy when you're first starting a business. That building era can take a lot from you because you have to be investing time. It's go, go, go. You're figuring a lot out as you go. You're working out what works, what doesn't work. You're probably pivoting quite a bit as well. It can really pull on you, but it's a really, really, really exciting time. There's also a danger of burnout when you're in that building era because the possibility is that you're actually building around another full-time job. A lot of people that I speak to that are looking to start their own wedding industry business, they already have a job and they're fitting this into pockets around their current job. They're fitting it into the time in the evenings, at the weekends. So there is a real risk of burnout because you're having to put in so much effort. You might be doing a bit on your business before you go to work when you come home, and then, like I say, at the weekend. So you've got to be really careful with that. And there is a lot of time investment, and probably quite a lot of boundaries that aren't in place. But I do kind of think it has to be done. It's your hustle era, essentially. Okay. I remember my hustle era. I totally remember my building era. We had just had Ivy. Well, I launched the business actually when Ivy was 7 months old. So I had a little one. I was still working at the ice rink. I wasn't working full time because I had a baby. But I was in at the rink at 5:30 in the morning, working till sort of 8:30 in the morning, then going back in the evenings and doing tea time sessions as well. And then in the daytime, I was being a mum to a baby. So I was very much building my business in nap times and when she went to bed. Bearing in mind, I then had to get up at 4:30 to go to work at the rink the next day. And then I was doing stuff at the weekends. I literally gave it everything, but I really, really wanted to. Like my laptop literally sat on the sofa and I would just, any moment I could, be working on my business. I was absolutely obsessed. Building the website, working out how Instagram worked, like what I needed to be doing, like creating content, deciding on my services, like networking, all the emails as well. Like I really, really was hustling, but I fully, fully thrived on that. I obviously have way better boundaries now, but in that time, I don't think you want to have all those boundaries in place because you just have to push to get to the next stage, to start to establish things. But at that point, your building era, it is all about hustle, absolutely all about hustle. The next era is the establishing era. So that is very much about, you'll find in that at that time that your reputation has already started to build. The word of mouth is growing around your business and your company. You've already started to get a good network of suppliers around you, and you're starting to become known. You might be feeling more confident in your niche and your style and that area of the market that you're currently positioned in, and you might also be really busy. It might be busier than you want to be because actually perhaps you haven't quite figured everything out in terms of pricing, and therefore you're getting loads of bookings in, which might sound a bit counterintuitive, but it does make sense because sometimes you get to a point in business like I have where less is more, and I'll put up my prices and take on less weddings. Um, but essentially, you're more established, you're reaping what you've sowed. That hustle was totally worth it, and things are happening and they're moving. So that's your establishing era. It's beautiful, it's bright, it's fun, it's really, really buzzy. And you might get to a point where you're in that establishing era for a good few years. Like I remember we were in that time for quite a long time as a business until I decided to change things and make some changes in the business, going from more of a coordination business to a luxury wedding planning company. But I would say that establishing era kind of lasted until maybe 2023. And then I started to make some changes. So the next era that we have is the refinement era. Okay. So the refinement era, this is where business owners find themselves after a few more years. Okay. So they know what things work, they know what doesn't work, they know what lights them up, what doesn't light them up, what brings them joy, etc., etc. And this is where you might start to make those changes. So for example, when I had my year, so I think it was 2023, so that would have definitely been my establishing era, and we had 37 wedding coordinations. I actually felt extremely burnt out, and we were the busiest that we'd ever been, and it was absolutely amazing. But I had some realizations that that wasn't exactly where I wanted to be, and I wanted to change things. So we then moved into that refinement era, and 2024 was very much my refinement era. I made changes, I tweaked things so that they actually worked better for me and obviously the market that I wanted to go into. And that was really, really important. I get a lot of people with my mentoring that come to me when they're first starting their business and they're in that establishing era. And then they come to me again when they're in their refinement era. I don't typically work with people in their establishing era, but it's when they have that next realization of how they want to change. Because when you're first starting out, you're just going to push. You're going to push, you're going to go, and you're just going to be doing the do. And then you have that realization, okay, if this is really great, but I actually want to be in this niche, or I want to go over here. At first, you're just going to be saying yes to anything and everything, and that's fine. So that's why I end up with working with people in the two kind of different eras. So that refinement era is very much a case of trying to work out how to align your business to what you want to be doing, where you want to be. So again, for me, it was deciding I want to be doing 6 weddings a year. I want to be doing full plan. I want to be design led. I want to design all my clients' weddings. I don't want to be doing 37 weddings a year, but I also need my business to be financially viable with just 6 weddings a year. So there was a lot of work that went into that refinement, rebuilding the foundations that I already had, but tweaking them and updating them so that they actually worked for me in the long term, and ended up being a business that I know that I could actually keep over a long time without burning out. And just that actually gave me more joy. I loved the coordination business at the time, but then it was too much. And the business that I've built now feels a lot more manageable over time and brings me so much more joy than the other one ever could. So again, that refinement era, you might find that you're saying no more than you're saying yes. And that's okay, because you know who you want to be working with. You know you don't need to take on every job. You only need a certain amount, and so on. You'll be refining your offers and your prices and your boundaries. You might feel a little bit invisible during this phase because you are building everything and just putting all the things in place, but you're being very, very strategic, which is very powerful for your growth. And it's really, really important. So we've covered the building era. Then we moved into the establishing era. Then obviously the refinement era. Then we get to the final era, which is the evolution era. But for me, that is very much about just getting comfortable with where you are. So I would say our 2025 was our evolution era. It's a time where you actually feel that you can pause if you need to because you're comfortable. So my 2025 has very much been a case of just pausing, resetting, having a look at everything that we've worked on in the refinement era, seeing it start to take shape, not having to push quite so hard to make those changes work. It's all just kind of moving and ticking along really nicely. And it's so funny how in business things can kind of, go through these different eras and these different seasons at different points. So I think we are in that final phase at the moment. I feel extremely comfortable. Well, in 2025, I felt extremely comfortable. And as we've gone into 2026, I feel like we're back into an establishing era, but in a slightly different way that's more refined because we've done our refinement era. So I'm very comfortable and happy with the business model that we've actually got now, which is really exciting. But what I want you guys to do is to just have a think about right now, what season do you think, or what era do you think you are in with your business? I want you to think about the different things that we've broken down with the different eras. Where are you at? How does that make you feel? And what does that season need from you? Because I think that's really important. If you're in your hustle era, you just got to push. You got to keep going. You got to see it through, and it will be worth it. It absolutely will be worth it. And if you can start putting in boundaries and, a few things that are going to make it a bit more manageable over time, then that's amazing. But your establishing era will come and it's absolutely going to pay off. If you're in that establishing era, that's also amazing. And you might find that you can sit there for a really long time, for a good few years, until perhaps you want to refine, you want to tweak your niche, you want to build more strategy for growth, and so on. And then if you're in that refinement era, what does that need from you? Do you need to spend more time just pausing, looking at everything? Do you need to invest in some education? Do you need to be learning how to do the next steps because perhaps you're a little bit stuck? What does that need from you so that you can actually move on to that next phase of the evolution where you just feel really comfortable with the business model you've got? I'm really excited for this year that we've got right now because I think if you've listened to some of the other episodes, 2026, our word of the year is flourish. We've planted the seeds, we've done all the hard work, and everything is just blossoming this year. And it's super exciting without it having to be a hustle. It's just there. So if you are going through any of these phases in business, you will get to the next phase, even if some of them feel really, really hard and really, really tricky, it will change sooner or later. And I think actually just knowing that it changes and that, one era will end and the next one will begin, it makes it feel less overwhelming and less sort of never ending because you know that you will be going into the next phase at some point. And don't be afraid to ask for help either, guys, because I think, as I said in my episode with Paula Rooney, you should always be investing every year, no matter what season you're in your learning, in your education, in your growth. You don't need to know everything. You can't be expected to know everything either. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, whether it's from a friend, whether it's from a family member, whether it's from a mentor. So yeah, so there we go, guys. I think, just understanding that there are different seasons in business growth is absolutely key. Anyway, guys, I hope you found this episode helpful. Thank you for tuning in and listening to another short solo episode. I look forward to catching up with you guys on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow, comment, do all the things that you're supposed to do because it obviously helps us grow this channel and we absolutely love you for that. See you on the next one.